Welcome to Warhammer Warscroll Review. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Death Grand Alliance Warscroll, the Necromancer.
Warscroll Review.
The Necromancer has been a staple to every incarnation of the Death faction, and is a familiar concept in fantasy lore. In Age of Sigmar, the model has a 5-inch move, 5 wounds, and a 6-up save. Good thing it does other stuff. I'm going to skip the model's weapon because never get it in combat. First of all, to defend itself, its ability, Undead Minions can pass off wounds to a summonable death unit within 3 inches on a roll of 4 up. Like other death heroes, the Necromancer can use Deathly Invocation to return summonable models back to the battle. The Necromancer can use its ability on 2 different units within 6 inches. Unsurprisingly, the Necromancer is a wizard. The model casts and unbinds 1 spell and can cast Bolt, Shield, and its own unique spell. The Necromancer's spell is called Van Hell's Dance Macabre and casts on a 6-up. Choose a summonable unit within 18 inches, and that unit can pile in and attack twice in their next combat phase. This is a pretty potent ability when used on a giant unit of skeletons, graveguard, or even spirit hosts. The Death Wizard is an 110-point hero model in the Death Grand Alliance, meaning it is one of the cheapest at the faction's disposal. Keep the character near a summonable unit to ensure it is somewhat protected from enemy fire. Also, keeping the model behind a screening unit is helpful to keep them out of close combat. The humble Necromancer can be used in many of the Death factions, at the very least as an ally. Being such a cheap source of magic, the model will make it into quite a few lists. Each of the legions of the Nagash grant Necromancers spells from the lore of the Death Mages. Overwhelming Dread, Fading Vigor, and Decrepify are often the best choices for the Necromancer. Overwhelming Dread decreases a target's to hit and bravery values. Fading Vigor decreases an enemy's attacks and forces them to roll only 1 die when determining charge distances. And Decrepify subtracts 1 from wound and damage values. All are powerful spells in their own right, and Locus of Shaiish makes them even scarier, allowing the player to cast the spell twice if a 9+ is rolled. Getting any one of these spells off twice will cripple an enemy unit. Even an extremely powerful character riding a monster could be made much more manageable by 1 or 2 of these spells. To determine which spell is best at which time, the Death player should be looking at the enemy they are facing. Anything scary that has an ability that triggers on a 6 to hit or wound should be targeted with Overwhelming Dread or Decrepify respectively. Models with multiple weapons with multiple attacks, like Monstrous Cavalry, should be targeted with Fading Vigor. Also in the Legions of Nagash, Necromancers find many command traits and artifacts of interest. The Grand Host of Nagash gets the most to play with. Master of Death allows the player to reroll Deathly Invocation rolls of 1 within 12 inches of the general, but Lord of Nagashizar would complement the Necromancer's spell the best. The trait adds an additional attack to Death Rattle units within 6 inches. Coupled with Van Hell's Dance Macabre, a horde of skeletons or graveguard would be putting out an insane amount of attacks. If a unit of 40 skeletons were to get all their attacks in, they would be putting out 8 each after activating twice, meaning 320 attacks total. An artifact that couples with this is the Elsific Diadem, giving Death Rattle units within 12 inches an additional chance to save wounds and mortal wounds on a 6+. The Balefire Lantern subtracts 1 from wound rolls for enemy units within 6 inches. This is an item with a small reach, but does couple very well with Decrepify. In addition, this item forces enemy wizards to reroll successful spell cast, making the Necromancer a bit better at dispelling nearby wizards. The Legion of Night has a single, specifically attractive artifact to the Necromancer, Morbeg's Claw. The item can be used in the hero phase to increase casting rolls for Death Wizards within 12 inches by 2. This has the downside of forcing the Necromancer to stay still until its next hero phase. In a Legion of Sacrament, the Necromancer would not only receive the extra spells, but a battle trait that adds +1 to casting spells. The Legion of Sacrament also comes with some great command traits and artifacts. Dark Acolyte is a command trait that would allow the Necromancer to know an additional spell from the lore of Death Mages. But the biggest boost is Bound to the Master. This trait lets the Necromancer use Archon the Black's command ability. This command ability adds 6 inches to the range of Death Wizard spells within 18 inches. This ability can be quite powerful, and makes most spells cast up to 24 inches away. 2 artifacts of Sacrament bestow the Necromancer some protection against enemy shooting. Shroud of Darkness decreases enemy to hit rolls, and wristbands of black gold give the model a chance to ignore wounds inflicted by shooting on a 4-up. In general, the Shroud of Darkness is likely going to be a bit more protective. The other artifact that can come in handy is the Azurbane Standard. This is very much like the previously mentioned Balefire Lantern, in which it subtracts 1 from nearby enemy wound rolls, but this time it only forces Order Wizards to reroll successful casting rolls. Increasing Necromancer's casting roll may be important if the Death player is taking multiple wizards. Models like the Mortis Engine and Corpse Cart offer +1 to cast spells. The best way to augment a Necromancer's abilities is to stick them in a Lords of Sacrament Warscroll battalion. This Warscroll includes Archon the Black, a Mortis Engine, and 2 or more Necromancers. When Archon's Necromancers are within 6 inches of the Mortis Engine, they can add 1 to save rolls and cast an additional spell. The extra saving roll bonus will likely be unnoticeable in the character's 6-up save, but casting twice with each Necromancer is extremely potent, effectively doubling their impact. Not only are they benefiting from the battalion, Archon's command ability to increase spell range by 6 inches will allow wizards to sit back and rain magic down on the enemy. And to be fair, when they're in cover, Necromancers will have a 4-up save with all these buffs. Necromancers fit well in Legions of Nagash, as well as mostly any other Death faction. Using them as a cheap wizard ally in a Soulblight or Flesh Eater Court army can prove useful. While Van Hells may not affect the units, anyone can use a Mystic Shield in their life. Necromancers aren't too scary on their own and can be taken down pretty easily with shooting attacks. In a Lords of Sacrament battalion, target the Mortis Engine first if possible, stop all the augments at once. Though, if you have something that can easily drop a Necromancer in 1 round, that may be a bit easier. Necromancers receive a 4 out of 5. They are a cheap wizard unit and now have access to some extremely potent Death Mage spells. What do you think of the Necromancers? What War Scrolls would you like to see reviewed next on the channel? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and thanks for watching.